Validation, some of you are on the fence still. But here's the problem, and here's where I'm the bearer of even more bad news. Even the most red-pilled guys, even the most MGTOW of MGTOW guys, sometimes don't know the half of it, or at least the whole story about what we are capable of. Welcome back to Far From Eden. Today's video that I'm going to review is Psycheria, Psycheria. He, I guess, is relatively new channel. He's got just over 6,000 subscribers. Go give him a sub if you like his work. Watch his video. I will link it in the description. I promise. I always forget. And anyways, let's get started. So this video is the lies women tell. Now, are all of us as bad as I am going to say? No. But all of us are capable of it. If you don't know, and you won't know unless we want you to know.
Let's face reality without the filters. Most men hear the words coming out of a woman's mouth, but they have no idea how to decode what is actually being broadcast. She tells you one thing with her lips, but her timing, her silence, and the way she looks at you are screaming something completely different. And if you cannot read this contrast, you will spend years thinking women are some kind of incomprehensible mystery. But in reality, their behavioral patterns are painfully predictable. You aren't lost.
Our behavior is predictable. What's going on up here is like a spider web.
You're just trying to decode the wrong language. And let's get this straight right now. We aren't here to blame women or turn relationships into a battlefield. This is about awareness, about the knowledge fathers should have passed down to their sons, but didn't. Because once you understand the emotional engine behind her words, the fog clears. You stop stumbling over mixed signals. You stop waiting for clarity that is never coming. You start living based on a backbone, not on wishful thinking.
Subscribe to his channel, like his original video, and if you're enjoying this review, as we get further into it, please hit like on my video too.
Keep building a generation of men who actually understand themselves, their value, and the women they deal with. Let's begin. We'll start by breaking down the first, and perhaps the most common lie, which sounds like a verdict disguised as mercy. I'm not ready for a relationship right now. This phrase is designed to sound soft, reasonable, and even noble, but don't let this diplomacy lull your vigilance. In reality, it omits just one, yet critically important clarification that changes absolutely everything. I'm not ready for a relationship with you. This isn't a question of bad timing, a difficult life period, or her need to find herself. It is a direct statement of a lack of genuine desire. She isn't telling you she needs time for her career or healing. She is broadcasting a completely different signal. The man I actually crave hasn't chosen me yet, and you are the ideal emotional buffer filling the void while I wait. Many men make the fatal mistake of taking these words as a challenge to their patience.
Yes. And I know of men who have waited years for a woman who said in some way or another, not right now, maybe in the future, thinking it meant what it sounds like it means. Now, he's right. It can be used to soften the blow. She will also say this to keep you in her orbit. She doesn't want to shut it down all the way. It isn't always because she's trying to be nice and seem nice and not have a conflict with you. We don't like conflict. And that sounds weird since we instigate it so much. That's another video. She's keeping you in her orbit of men in case she needs a backup plan, which she will always consider that settling. So even if by some miracle this meant that she actually was going to pick you at some point, know that in some way or another, she is settling for you. And you don't want that. You're worth more than that. Don't accept that. It's not okay, because it will be held over your head for the rest of your life in ways you're not aware of. She will never respect you. She'll always look down on you. You're the puppy dog that waited for her forever. And that means she can control you, because she clearly did at the start. The other thing, and this is diabolical, she likes the idea that you're still out there pining for her. If she doesn't shut it down completely, you won't completely turn it off in her mind. She's got you not only in her orbit, even if she knows she'll never pick you, you're one who desires her. She's not going to shut that down, because we love attention. We love to be adored. We love all that. And that feeds that idea.
Believing that if they just wait, her feelings will mature. But that is self-deception, brother, because passion doesn't obey a savings account system. If she wanted you, the concept of time would simply cease to exist as an obstacle. As one thinker accurately noted, desire is instant, hesitation is a sign. When a woman feels a real impulse, doubts evaporate, giving way to action. She will rewrite her schedule, cancel important plans, and find 1,000 opportunities to see you, instead of looking for one excuse to keep her distance. Women never risk losing a man who excites them by playing not ready. So why doesn't she tell you the truth to your face? Because social norms have taught her to wrap rejection in soft packaging, so she doesn't feel guilty about your suffering. She feels much more comfortable if you walk away thinking about her complex soul, rather than understanding that you simply weren't wanted. It's a way to keep her image spotless while leaving you in limbo. But the essence doesn't change. You are not the hero of her romance. You are the safe harbor for waiting out her loneliness. And if you agree to this role, you voluntarily become an emotional storage unit used until the man she is ready for right here and now appears on the horizon. Value your time as your only non-renewable resource, and do not invest it in illusions that will never pay dividends. Let's move to the next trap, a lie capable of destroying a man not just financially, but mentally, if he makes the mistake of taking it literally. The phrase, "money doesn't matter to me," is a classic that everyone has heard at least once. Usually, it is spoken in a soft, insinuating tone, creating the illusion that the woman hovers high above the material world. Men, starved for sincerity, swallow this bait instantly, thinking, "Finally, I've met someone who values the depth of my soul, not the digits in my bank account," and this relaxes their grip, causing them to lower their shields. But don't let this beautiful packaging fool you. When a woman claims indifference to money, she isn't rejecting wealth per se. She is rejecting men who have made money their idol, forgetting about human connection. On a deep level, she is broadcasting a completely different message. I am looking for a man who values me more than his ego, but who also possesses the power to create a safe perimeter around us. For her, finances are not a question of greed or luxury. They are a marker of direction, an indicator of responsibility, and proof that you aren't just drifting through life waiting to get lucky, but are steering your own course.
Yeah, I don't care about money. I just expect things, right? I just expect a certain lifestyle. They also don't want it to where you make money your idol, because we are your idols, right? Money matters to everyone in one way or another. It is too vague to say money doesn't matter to me. Look at her behavior. Does she get her hair done? Does she get her nails done? What kind of house did she grow up in? Did her father spoil her? Did her mother spoil her? Those things. That's what you have to look at. Where does she buy her clothes? How often does she get new clothes? Does she complain a lot? If a person complains a lot, they are not content. You want to look, and I'm not saying go look for a woman, but I'm saying if we were, you would look for a woman who is content. And her saying that is a trap.
Even the most free-spirited nature, who denies social norms, instinctively feels calmer next to someone who can take a hit and control resources, because the inability to provide a base is perceived by the subconscious as a threat to survival. Stability is the ancient language of attraction, hardwired by evolution into her DNA. And women don't calculate your reliability on a calculator, they read it with their gut, scanning your confidence in tomorrow. It is vital for her to know that the man beside her won't crumble into dust at the first crisis and won't leave her to clean up the mess alone. Therefore, when you hear happiness isn't in money, do not under any circumstances translate this as, I am ready to live with you in a shack in poverty forever. She might be your ally during the empire building phase, when you have nothing but ambition and a plan, but she will never resign herself to a phase of stagnation where poverty becomes the norm. Women fall in love not with the bills themselves, but with the energy of competence that says a man can hunt down the mammoth in any economic reality.
And you know what? That includes telling her no. If you're just yes, 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 she doesn't respect it. And that honestly doesn't actually feel safe because there's no, rock. If we can push you around, that's not safety.
Such a man radiates vision, structure, and rigid self-control, and money for him is merely a byproduct of his efficiency. Do not confuse her declared simplicity with permission for your stagnation. Otherwise, you risk discovering that the unimportance of money evaporates the exact moment another man demonstrates the ability to turn his ambitions into real results. Let's move to the third lie, a true classic of manipulation that injects dopamine straight into your ego, causing critical thinking to shut down instantly. I usually don't do this, but with you, it's different. This phrase is not a spontaneous confession, but a carefully calibrated weapon, perfectly sharpened for the vulnerabilities of male psychology, making you feel not just like a lover, but like the chosen one. It is constructed with surgical precision to convince you. You possess a unique magical power capable of breaking her iron principles that allegedly stood firm against everyone else. She isn't just flirting, she's directing a scene, creating a narrative where you are the rare exception for whom the fortress walls come crumbling down. But let's look truth in the eye. Person has to loudly declare their purity or the existence of strict rules. It is almost always an attempt to preemptively justify actions that are about to happen. Women understand perfectly how the male conquest instinct works and how harshly men judge availability. So she creates an alibi in advance to make her behavior look like the fall of a victim before an irresistible winner.
Right?
She carefully places a halo on her own head and hands you the medal for knocking it off, allowing you to feel pride instead of suspicion. However, the harsh reality is this. If she breaks her rules with you in the first hours of meeting, it means those rules exist only in words, and you are not the cause of a system failure, but its standard feature. The scenery may change, the partners' names may change, but the emotional algorithm and the speed at which barriers fall remain unchanged from case to case.
Right. And if she's got this, you know, past list, giant list of boyfriends, dates, etc., how likely is that to be true? You've got to keep your analytical brain going and go, this is not likely to be true. Also, this is an insurance policy for women who later accuse. It's an insurance policy. Oh, he manipulated me. I told him I didn't want to do that. That is danger, danger, danger. That's how she can justify that in her head if it didn't work out. If somehow she breaks her rules for you and then it doesn't work out, or, you're in the end not serious about her, but you went too far physically. Now because you're not going to do what she wants you to do. She's got a story.
This phrase has nothing to do with morality or your uniqueness. It is pure image control and reputation management in real time. Women are grandmasters in the art of appearing, not being, and she lies not to hurt you, but to protect the image of the good girl she wants to preserve in your eyes. The main trap here is that men confuse this rehearsed performance with a deep soul connection, believing they have become the catalyst for incredible change. You think you've opened a secret room accessible only to you, but in reality, you've just walked into a lobby where dozens of others have trampled before you.
And it's not just physical. How many of you guys have heard, oh my gosh, you get me. You understand me more than anybody ever has. Now, can it be true? It could be. What's the likelihood? It's not likely. I know of a situation where the woman was still married to someone, to the first husband, and she was using this other guy friend, as like the emotional tampon, right? It's kind of beta. Hope he's not watching right now. But he knows it. He knows it. And then, lo and behold, well, she divorces the one because this guy friend here, he really understands her. He gets her. And she had the nerve to make him think that she was very pure, that she was almost shy and embarrassed. Yeah, well, I know her. I knew her first. And I've watched her and her sister talk about, oh yeah, you were kind of slutty. You were real slutty when we were teenagers, etc. Then I talked to him, and he's like, no, she was kind of quiet and shy and reserved about it. And I was like, really? Because she's not. And he had been married to her for over 10 years. Guess what? She divorced him. And was it for another man? Yeah, but he was imaginary. Look up, I'll think of it in a second. It's this thing where it's like in your spiritual realm, and it's this guy, and he's handsome and stuff, and he's actually in real life, but you're having a relationship spiritually. It's psycho. But yeah, that's why she left. An imaginary relationship with a guy who was, sort of, I guess, happily married over here and way out of her league, and would definitely tell her no. He was an alpha. This is just what happens.
Hearing the exact same line. As Jung wisely noted, we meet ourselves in 1,000 disguises, and here she is, not revealing a rare facet of her soul, but simply replaying a worn-out script with a new actor. Memorize this axiom. If a woman truly, usually doesn't do this, she simply won't do it, and no mythical spark will make her betray her deep principles in one evening. Don't let your vanity buy a ticket to this show where you think you're improvising, but are actually following a script written long before you arrived. Let's move to the fourth lie, which serves as an infallible indicator of whether you are holding a healed soul or a woman still shackled by the chains of the past. The phrase, "my ex means nothing to me," makes men exhale with relief, believing in the illusion of a clean slate. But slow down, brother, and don't rush to celebrate.
Oh,
The human psyche doesn't work like a delete button. Emotions cannot be annihilated by a loud statement. They can only be driven underground, where they continue to mutate and invisibly control her fears and reactions. Often, when saying these words, she is lying not to you, but to the reflection in the mirror, using denial as a shield against pain, anger, or the thirst for revenge that still pulses within. Ask yourself a logical question. If he has truly turned to dust, why resurrect his name in dialogue at all? True indifference is silent, like a vacuum, while conversations, whether demonization, mockery, or comparison, are smoke that always indicates the smoldering fire of an unhealed wound. By constantly bringing his image into the present, She unconsciously invites him into your relationship, assigning the ghost a seat of honor at your table.
Right.
The danger for you lies in simple math. You can never cover her unprocessed trauma with your love. By entering this game, you sign up for the role not of an equal partner, but of a crisis center employee forced to clear emotional debris created by another architect.
And that's why I just told you my story of my friend, you know, because this. Exactly. It's just, if she's going to say that, if she's going to say he means nothing to me, I need to know more. I actually need to know more. Why? Why does he mean nothing? What did he mean then? What does he mean now? You might be like, oh, I can't just interrogate people. But you better interrogate people. Why is she bringing it up? Did she bring it up? Did you bring it up? You need more information. I find that men hesitate to ask probing questions, and you need to. You absolutely need to. I don't think there's a question you shouldn't ask. If she has a problem with any of it, bye-bye, veto.
You will spend your best resources gluing together what you didn't break, and in the process, you will inevitably absorb the toxicity of her unfinished gestalt. You become not the hero of her new romance, but a temporary bandage necessary only to stop the bleeding before she sets off in search of a real adventure.
And it's usually a bandage for her ego because she feels rejected, unwanted, unloved, unattractive. That's what you do for her. And that's not respect, adoration of you. That's, oh, good. Oh, good. I've still got it. And then, okay, now her ego's back. Now you can send her off into the world. Get more baggage.
The cruelest irony of fate awaits in the finale. When she finally heals with your help, she will likely leave, because you will forever remain in her memory as a symbol of her weakness and sickness, not her triumph. Therapists are thanked, but lives are not built with them. They are left in the past along with the symptoms.
She leaves you because you've served your purpose. Oh, I outgrew him. It was time to move on. We grew apart. He was what I needed at the time, blah, blah, blah.
Therefore, when you hear this renunciation, do not enter into debates, but switch to cold observation mode. Remember the words of Alfred Adler: trust only movement. Look at actions, not declarations, because true healing comes when the need to prove her indifference to the world and to you disappears. People do not speak of truly forgotten things with such passion and frequency. And if the ghost of the past continues to wander through your conversations, it means he hasn't disappeared. He has simply become an invisible third wheel who still dictates the rules of the game. Don't fool yourself.
Or she brings him up to make you jealous, to make you do something, to manipulate you into doing something. To bring him up means more than, oh, I still have feelings for him. It also, for whatever reason, can be used to nudge you in whatever direction she's trying to nudge you in.
As long as this phantom occupies the throne in her head, you are destined only for the role of a temporary substitute, never the king. The fifth lie is true kryptonite for decent men, throwing more guys off course than any other romantic illusion. I want a nice guy. This is a verbal trap of the highest order because, although almost every woman says this, the men who actually make their head spin are infinitely far from the flat understanding of nice that lives in the male mind.
Yep.
For the average guy, nice is a synonym for convenient, compliant, conflict-free, someone ready to smooth corners at any cost. But in the female dictionary, this definition has a completely different architecture. When she asks for a nice guy, she is looking for a man who has kept the warmth of his heart without sacrificing his steel backbone. She doesn't need an emotional weather vane.
Okay. He skipped over something. When we say we want a nice guy, we want a guy that's going to let us get away with stuff. We want, not really, we're saying we want a guy that lets us get away with stuff. We're saying that we want a guy to serve us. Now, Do we actually want that? No. But we don't see it. Now, this sounds cruel, but hey, I'm a woman. I feel like I can say it. Does the child want candy for dinner? Yeah, but they don't realize how sick that's going to make them. Do they want to stay up all night? Yeah. What they learn doing those things is, yeah, I don't want that. That's kind of how it is when we choose men for he's a bad boy or he's a nice guy. We want the two of those. And that's what he's about to explain. But since I'm explaining, I might as well. You know those firefighter calendars back in the day when malls were still kind of a thing? They're not everywhere. Where the firefighters, and he's holding a kitten. That's what women want. Exactly what he's describing. They want the guy that's going to tell them no and sweep them off their feet. That's the ideal in their head. That's the thing that makes us swoon, is a strong, serious, man that's not going to bend, not going to just serve us, has his own agenda, does his own thing, knows how to say no, rules the house, not because she gives him permission, but because he does, but also is tender, is has moments of softness to her. And it comes back to, before you guys throw up, it comes back to, we want you guys to go out and be able to fight the bear, get the enemy, but also be tender to our children, protect us and the children, etc. So that's where the two come together. And the problem is that we women are not aware of it. We're not aware of it. And now I just said, like, the things that we want. Does that mean that we should demand this, that, and the other? No, because there's a lot of things men want too, and we're not all those things all the time. Men get over it. Men go, okay, well, you're on my level and you're a human being, etc. But we women need to start accepting things on that same level.
Spinning with every gust of her mood or hormonal storm. She needs a rock that respects her feelings, but doesn't allow them to flood the deck and seize control.
Right.
She is looking for someone capable of containing her chaos, while rigidly holding the perimeter of his own boundaries, not surrendering territory for the sake of momentary peace. Men hear this request and make a fatal mistake. They start putting her on a pedestal from the first date, hoping that worship guarantees reciprocity. But this is a dead end because women never fall in love with fans who hand them a crown in advance and without merit. They fall in love with those who treat themselves like monarchs and only magnanimously allow her to enter their kingdom. A nice guy, without fangs and the ability to bite, is not an object of desire.
Nope.
He is boring background noise. Female tests are not an act of manipulation, but a way to scan your essence. Is your kindness dictated by an excess of inner strength or a deficit of courage? If you apologize for your every breath, you kill the masculine tension, that very electric arc on which passion rests.
I'm going to push back on him and say they are tests. And they are manipulative. They're absolutely manipulative. Sometimes, this is so bad. Sometimes we'll test you in order to try to make you be that thing that we want you to be. Probably because we can't get the man we really want, so we'll turn you into him through our little tests.
Without healthy authority, kindness instantly mutates into weakness, and weakness is the most effective killer of desire. The paradox is simple and brutal. Be kind to her, but be dangerous to the world for her sake. In her translation, nice means be a warm source of light, but never become soft clay that can be molded into anything. And finally, we have reached the sixth, final lie, modern, strategically calibrated, and striking right at the center of male expectations. I'm not like other girls. At first, this sounds like music to tired ears, making you think, finally, I found that exception to the rule.
You guys get to decide that. We don't get to tell you that. You guys decide if we are like other girls or not. And chances are we are. We are. I mean, we are very similar. The setting yourself apart like that is a giant red flag. Giant red flag.
But let me rip the mask off this. This phrase is not a description of reality. It is pure marketing and performance, serving as the shortest route around your defensive redoubts. Men today are starved for uniqueness in a world of endless copies, and she knows perfectly well that this declaration acts like an admin password, forcing you to lower your shields and disable critical thinking before you truly know the person. But burn this axiom into your mind. A woman who really differs from the grey mass will never have to announce it through a loudspeaker. The second she speaks these words, she reveals not her uniqueness, but her deep fear, the terror of being considered average, mediocre, just like those she perhaps despises. She is trying to distance herself from competitors, using verbal camouflage because she subconsciously understands her actions haven't proven otherwise yet, and she needs to shape your opinion before reality puts everything in its place.
Yep.
This is aggressive self-promotion that has nothing to do with genuine self-awareness.
Yep.
The irony of fate is that those who shout loudest about their otherness often run on the same software as the rest, just with an interface that looks more sophisticated and mysterious. The difference lies not in character or fundamental values, but exclusively in the quality of presentation and self-selling skills. True rarity is a quiet strength that reveals itself in iron discipline, in unshakable loyalty when you are at rock bottom, in how dignified she behaves in the heat of conflict,
Right.
and how cleanly she speaks of people when they are not in the room.
Right.
Uniqueness needs no advertising slogans or cheap banners. It speaks the language of facts that cannot be faked.
Right.
Therefore, when you hear the mantra, "I'm not like the others," do not fall into a hypnotic trance from the promise of exclusivity. Take a step back, switch on cold analysis, and check, does the real product match the flashy brand that is being so persistently sold to you? Or are you holding a skillful imitation calculated for a naive buyer? And here is the invisible thread tying these 6 phrases into a single pattern. Women are not enemies. They simply follow their nature, where instincts and emotions are often intertwined more tightly than dry logic. But their words can be a map with deliberately false coordinates, leading to a dead end if you don't know how to read the true terrain, that boiling emotional reality hidden beneath the smooth surface of phrases. A wise man does not waste energy arguing with the wind and does not try to rationalize chaos. He doesn't look for hidden meaning where there is none, but he also doesn't swallow the bait, no matter how sweet it seems. He takes the position of an observer, turning into an immovable lighthouse amidst the storm. He sees the truth, even if it isn't spoken, reading it through actions, pauses, and the energy she brings into the room, and he makes his choice accordingly, coldly, weighed, without resentment. If this breakdown lifted the veil from your eyes, head down to the comments. Write which of these phrases you have heard personally, and, most importantly, how that story ended with your
I second that, what he said. Watch his video on his channel so he gets the view and let him know. But I want to know too. I want to know what you guys have seen or what you've heard with these and what it turned out to actually mean. You know, what you have to learn when she says, "I'm not like the others," ask her, "How so? What makes you different?" And when he says, that's just our nature, that we're just responding to our nature, I reject that. Now, I agree with him, that's true, but I reject that that somehow makes it okay. That is our nature run amok, right? People sure do complain about male nature run amok. You can't just go through like what your instincts tell you to do. Violence, act out on all your, hanky panky impulses. You don't do that. You keep it in check. because you have discipline. You have to. You're civilized. What does that make us? We can't just be like, well, those are my instincts. Well, I just wanted security. Oh, well, no. That's why you need morals and character on top of it. And that is the basis of everything. That's what if you're looking for a woman, that's what you should be looking for. What does she believe? How has she behaved? And not in the last 5 minutes, but what you can verify that she's done. Also, dating. When he's like, oh, don't put her on a pedestal. Dating is that. Dating is just that. When the man pays and the woman shows up, you're already putting her on a pedestal. You're making it transactional by dating. I know that sounds insane, but I truly believe that's why dating became a thing in the middle of the 20th century. It was never a thing before. People courted because a man was, sussing things out because that's when he chose. As soon as dating became a thing, now the women are choosing. And that's backwards. And as we can see from this video and all the other ones and life itself, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because we don't know what we want. I want a bad boy. I want a nice guy. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want some amalgamation of both of them. And since we can't pick them, you should be picking us. You're the ones that choose on your level. Does that mean like we just have to go with whoever? No. Within that small selection, then we can, have a say. But the men should be the choosers, not us. That way, there's more expected of us. And we do better when there's more expected of us. And I believe that we are actually capable of it. Feminists don't believe that. Modern women don't believe that, or they wouldn't have to bend the rules. They wouldn't have to make excuses. They would just call upon themselves and be accountable. But clearly, they don't think they're strong enough to be accountable. So if you're a woman and you've watched this video this long and you can stomach all this and you can own it, good for you. You might be one of the good ones. That is the be all end all. Does she understand this about herself? Can she own it? Like actually understand all of this. That's what you have to suss out at the end of the day, because that will reveal all the other things. So on that note, I will remind you guys to always protect your peace. Feed your souls. Whoops. Sorry. That's an animal. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.